And now it's time for Lesson 8, creating interactive navigation. So I've opened the file, I've already given it a name, appropriate name. So let's take a look at the first step. There's some action script involved in this, which would be cool. It talks about interactive movies. It's on page 289. 290 is where the action starts. Talking about creating a button symbol. So at the bottom of page 290 it says insert new symbol, and we are going to select button, and we give it the name Gable Lawful Button. Okay, now we're inside a button, and it shows the up state, the over state, the down state, the hit state. Let's see, you'll see what each of those states does in a moment. First thing they want is the Gable Lawful thumbnail. So we drag it in there, and they're going to want it to be 0, 0, and I believe they want us to hit F5. So if you don't hit F5, then there's no, I guess essentially there'd be no hit state. The hit state is like what part of this thing counts as clickable, and we want the whole thing to definitely be clickable. So by making sure that this carries over to the hit state, this whole rectangle area is the button itself. Oddly enough, in the hit state, if we made a separate keyframe and we added a circle right here, for example, then the button and that circle would both count as the button itself. So it's a great way to give a lot of creative possibilities to buttons. Anyways, let's go to the next page. 292 talks about making another layer, and F6 for a keyframe in the over state right there. And they want us to basically put, let's see, this in the over state, which means when we mouse over it, that is what's going to appear. So position it, and then they want us to make another layer. On the down state, they want a keyframe where we can put this sound. So while we select or click on the down state, go to Properties, Sound, click Sound. Okay. Now, what else? They're talking about the event. Yeah, that's default. Alright, so that'll cause a sound to play as soon as we click down on the button. So now we will drag this onto the stage. So we go to scene 1, and it's not there yet until we drag it out of here. And where is our button? Right there, Gary Lawful Button. So put it on the stage. Oh, we gotta make a new layer, don't we? Buttons. So there it is. We'll position it like so. I think they probably have a specific X and Y position for it, but I'm not seeing it right away. Okay. No, that was something else. Alright, so we'll just position it like so, and then let's see, they want us to duplicate it. So in the library you can duplicate it. You could also duplicate it out here, but they're telling us to duplicate it in the library. So this is going to be the Gary button, and we'll want to put that out here too. And as it is, they match, but they're different symbols because we duplicated them. We didn't just make a clone. Like if you hold down Option like that, this is actually exactly the same. Because if I click here, you'll notice it says Instance of Gary Lawful button. I click this one, and it's Gary button. I click this one, it's Gary Lawful. So if I go inside this one and change something, it's going to appear over here too. It won't appear here because it's a unique symbol because we duplicated it. So now what that means is we can go in here and change things. Like we can swap this. And the good thing about doing it this way, which is I'm really glad the book is showing you how to do this, is that by swapping them, you don't have to worry about keeping the positions. Like you don't have to worry about wrestling it down to where they're all in the same position because they have the same size and everything. We're gonna swap them and they will be in the same positions. And then all this structure is already built for us too because we duplicated it. So duplicating is a great way to take advantage of the work you've already done. So going back over here now, duplicate this one. We'll make, let's see, this one's kind of weird spelling. Il something. Il piatto. Il piatto. Button. Drag that onto the stage. It looks the same as Gary, but we go inside it and we swap this with Il piatto. And swap this one with the one that goes with it. Okay, so that's done. And then we'll make another duplication. Kind of repetitive work here. Pierre something. I guess complete directions are on page 297. They're talking about basically repeating yourself. Pierre Platters button. Drag that on the stage. Oops. There. And double click. Swap. Go to the second thing, the overstate, and we'll swap that out as well. There. And now, to make sure these are all lined up the same, you hit Command K and just center them. If you hit align to stage, it'll center them with respect to the stage, but we don't necessarily want that. We want them lined up with respect to each other, and then I want the spacing in between them to be the same. So, where is it? Space evenly horizontal. So now they're perfect. And let's take a look and see if everything's working right. Okay, and when I click one, you should hear a sound. Good. Now let's close it. And now it takes us to page 298. They're talking about placing the buttons, and I already did. I guess they have a specific X and Y. The first button is 100. Looks like I was close. 100 and 680. Whoops. Where did it go? $680. X value is 680. Okay, so this one should have X value of 680. Yes, yeah, there it is, 680. All right. Since that's the case, I'm going to hold Shift so I can select all 4 of those, and then I'll do the Command K, space evenly horizontal. So now it's perfect the way they want it. I don't know about the Y position. I'm not seeing that in bold. I like the way, okay, yeah, it is on page 299, 170 for the Y. So I'm just going to swipe across all these. I can swipe across all these because the other layers are locked. So that's just a reminder of how good it is to use the lock feature. Alright, everything's perfect now. Let's move on. Oh, I should probably save it. Naming button instances. So we're going to give each button an instance name. So we'll click on the first one, and right up here we say Gary underscore Gary. It's got to have the underscore because we're going to be referring to them in some ActionScript code. Oh wait, that wasn't right. Gary Lawful. Gable Lawful. Okay. And this one's Gary Gary. BTN. And it's a good idea to name them with the BTN just because then you can look at, just looking at the name, you know it's a button. Alright, so those are all labeled with the instance names, so now it's time to apply some ActionScript. We'll talk about the syntax and some generalities about this coding language. And then it says to unlock, let's unlock all 3 of these layers. Or does it actually, maybe you can add without unlocking those layers. Let me swipe across here. Yeah, I guess you can probably edit the timeline without unlocking it. Alright, so that's what we need, and then we need another layer, and it is customary to call the top layer actions. I've seen lots of programmers do it that way, and I've adopted the habit myself. So to open the actions window, I have it open here, so I can open and close it here. But you'll probably need to go Windows, Action, and another way to do it is FN F9 or just F9. Alright, so we want to put stop, because if we don't put stop, it's going to just play on its own. And right now that wouldn't cause a problem really, but as soon as we start adding some stuff to the timeline, we actually want to control the play rate, control the actions. So let me scoot this down. Can I please? It's not giving me the icon to open this up. Oh, was that it? There it is. Alright, I just want to see the whole timeline. So now they want us to, I believe on the buttons layer, go to page 306. And it's not it yet. Okay, so they want us to add, go ahead and add the ActionScript code. Under stop, let's do Gabe. Oh, I did underscore Lawful, didn't I? I think I'll do it the way the book did it. Again, that's how it did it, which means Gable Lawful. If they did it that way, then on this one I better not have. Oh, I need to unlock it. What I'm remembering is I put an underscore right here, and if I don't take that away, if this doesn't match what's in the ActionScript code, we're going to have a problem. So make sure you catch that too. Add event listener. And it'll be mouse event dot click comma restaurant 1. Okay, so now we actually write the function restaurant 1. Event mouse event. Okay, and then it returns void, means it's not returning anything, which doesn't really mean anything to you right now if you're a beginner programmer. But now we need to say go to and stop. And we have to tell it what frame we want to go to and stop on, so 10. And here's a little trick that the book doesn't mention, but if you use this thing called trace, you can get it to just give you a signal. So I'll have it say working and save it. So if this is written out right, when we click this button, when we mouse click, it's going to call this function. This function says go to and stop 10, but it also says trace working. Trace is just a little window. This output window should say working if it works right. So let's try it. I just say click it and it says working down there, so that's good. And now that that's checked out, double click that. Now that that works, let's copy and paste, 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 because we got 4 buttons. The next one is Gary, and maybe they don't have a space on theirs either. I'll try to do it just like they do, but they don't have a space, so I'm going to have to go fix the other one too. So I'm going to double click this, Control C, Command C, and go back to this and just paste. That way I know that it's exactly spelled the same. I can't tell you how many times one little misspelling can cause so much havoc if you don't realize it. So now we have to rename this restaurant 2. Oops, that wasn't it. Restaurant 2. This one will be restaurant 3. Restaurant 3. Restaurant 4. 4. And by the way, I'm double clicking. That's a great way to just grab the whole. And this, I think, I also spelled it different that they are Beato underscore BTN. I'm going to make sure this matches what I have out here. So I'll close that. Beato. Paste. Go back over here. I guess while I'm at it, this probably doesn't have a space in it either. Correct. So I'm going to copy this and then go back to the action script. Paste that. So this is also supposed to be 20, 30, 40. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. So sort of, since it's surrounded by quotes, it'll just they'll call out their names. That way I know each of them is, firing independently. So I should get a different name every time I click. Okay, so that just confirms that things are working right. Part of programming successfully is just figuring out how to know that you're doing things right, and that's one good little feature. If you put 2 slashes, then it'll stop doing that, but it won't erase it. This is a way of commenting out. They call it commenting out. You're basically just hiding the code without deleting it, because maybe later something will go wrong and you'll want it to come back to confirm your thinking. Alright, so double click that, it'll drop down. Let's see now. Next, it says checking for errors. We kind of already did that. And they show you how to add an error add a curly brace and see what the error looks like. You can do that on your own. But the next thing they want us to do is create a layer called content. And every 10 pixels, it looks like, or 10 frames, they want a keyframe. And does it look like 50th frame? I wish they used white for their timeline. It's kind of hard to read. Looks like there's not one. But now let's see. The next step is right here. They want us to go to the library and get the Gary, or the, not that one. Where is it? Restaurant content. Yeah. Gary, or Gable and Lawful, or whatever. Gable and Lawful. Okay. 60 and 150 is the X and Y positions. 60 and 150. And usually when you're making something of your own design, you don't have the guidance of, oh, put it at the X position, Y position. You'll just eyeball it, move it around until it looks good. But while we're doing this, we have the help of the book, which is great and fine. Here's a way to get it in exactly the same position, a way that I would probably do in real life. I'm going to go back here and select this and hit Control-C. And I'll go here and hit Command-Shift-V, so it pastes in exactly the same position. Then I'll use the old swap to grab the next one. And I'll go here and Command-Shift-V, and then I'll swap and get the next one, which is Opiato. And then I'll Command-Shift-V that, I'll do the same thing. Very nice, everything's perfect. So now we need to see if it's actually going to jump to those frames. Yeah, now I'll hit Command Return so it starts over, Gary or whatever. Command Return, so start it over. Good. Now they want to show you that you can label a frame. So let's click on this frame and go to Properties. Notice it says Frame. So before we were labeling objects on the stage. Now we're actually labeling a frame. And that'd be label 1. You can call it anything you want. Of course, you can't have any spaces, so if you're going to put a space, you'd have to put an underscore. Next one will be label 2. Label 2. Next one, label 3. You can see these labels showing up in the timeline now. And what's really good about doing this is the way the code says right now, it says go to and stop 10, 20, 30. Well, later on I might change the design a little bit and it'll mess up our code because it's saying go to and stop 10. But if I moved everything over, even just one frame, suddenly it would break it because it's looking for frame 10. So by doing it this way, let's finish this, label 4. By doing it this way, we can move these things around, add frames, and it won't lose the ability to find where it's supposed to be going. So we'll change this to quotations, label 1, and I'm just going to double click that and paste, and actually I need to give it quotations first, then paste. Backspace 2, and I'll just grab the quotations with this time. Okay, 3, paste, arrow key over, label 4, save. Now let's test it, make sure it's still working. I click this, it goes to Gary. I hit Command Return to start it over, Command Return. Everything seems to be working still. Command W closes that window, just in case your mouse starts to, you really need to use your left hand on the keyboard as much as possible, especially when you get doing monumental projects, so you give yourself carpal tunnel. Still might get it, but at least using two hands instead of mousing everything will give you a better chance not to get carpal tunnel. So next, yeah, we got label 2, 3, 4. Tells you to change it in the action script code. That's on page 314. Creating a home button using code snippets. Okay, so let's see. How do they want us to go about this? Drag the button called Main Menu onto the stage. And I believe we better create, or do that on the buttons later. Yeah, if we drag this, where is it, Main Menu button onto the stage right now, it's going to go inside this keyframe, which is not, it's not going to appear in all keyframes. So I'm going to hit Command X, and let's put it here, because if we put it here, it'll carry across all those keyframes. So notice now if I click other places, that Main Menu button is still there. So that's important to note, because I know I've been there with that problem. Let's see, 726 is the position we want that, and tab over to that and make it 60. Okay, so now that's perfect. We got to give it an instance name. Let's see what they want me to call it. Button 1, and we're doing _1, and that means, well, let's see, they're showing you how to use code snippets. I don't do that very much. I just type stuff by hand, but we can try it. Unless I get frustrated with it, then I'll just do it by hand. So let's see, in the code snippets panel, that'd be somewhere over here, I guess. Nope. Nope. Where are you, code snippets? I actually just saw it the other day. Where are you, code snippet? Oh, there it is. Well, there it is in the book. Where is it in real life? Choose Window, Code Snippets. Alright, and what do we got? Action Script, Timeline Navigation, Go to Frame and Stop. So we double click that. Okay. Throws all this on the screen for you. And here's the name of the function, really long name. Button 1, I guess because we had that button selected, it knew what to refer to. Go to and stop 5, I don't believe that's what we want, is it? Yeah, I guess so. Oh, you know, it does say to replace it with 1. Okay, so personally I like to keep the brackets like that, although I think I know why some people do it the other way. But anyways, what do we got here now? At the bottom we've got go to and play 1, so this is basically going to return us home. We'll go to and stop 1. Let's see if it works. So we go over here, now we click that, it takes us back. So it's getting pretty well done now. That wasn't hard. Looks like they're talking about creating your own code snippets and sharing your code snippets. You can do that if you want. I'm going to move on. So creating transition animations, that's on 319. Let me close this code snippets. Just exit out. And let's see, right click on the instance, or click on this one, and we right click on this and say create motion twin. And you'll notice it jumped up, it made its own layer. And if we do the same thing for this one, right click, create motion tween, it makes its own layer, motion tween, and motion tween. Right, so now we want, click on the first one, click on the symbol on the stage, and then go alpha 0. So just drag this over to 0, and go to the last frame in that portion, in that segment, and click on it. And it's transparent now, but we can still click on it and make it 100. So now you'll see it basically fades into view. So when we click the button, it's going to sort of fade in. Let's do the same thing for this. Create similar motion tweens. And I wonder if you could actually copy the tween. That's a new idea. Refine tween. If you could copy motion. It's really not motion, but paste motion. Yeah, I just did. So this is Gabe and Lawful, and this one's Gary Gary. I'll just paste the motion on all of them. And let's just make sure it's working right. Like this one. Nope, something went wrong. Oh yeah, there's some action script we need to edit. Because as it is, it says go to and stop. But we need it to actually say go to and play, because it's going to play the 10th frame and scoot over. That's what's going to make it fade into view. So I'm going to copy, paste, paste, and paste. Now save, try it out again, click it, fades into view. We got a loop. Oh, yeah, it's looping because it's playing this one. As soon as it gets done with that, it just keeps going. So I believe the book is probably going to tell us to create stop actions. So F6, F6, we want F6 right above the end of this little section on each one. And we need to just put stop. So let's do stop. And then before we leave, let's copy it. Paste. You can also right click and copy this frame and paste. That works too. Let me take a look at this. I might have an extra. Yeah, I could probably get rid of this. 50th frame. Well, they do have 50th frame. So they do have the 50th frame, so I'll just drag this over. And then this one I can drag over too. So these look, well, actually this one looks like it's, I guess I'm off by 1 possibly. No big deal, I'll just leave it like that. So let's try it out again. Fades into view, hit main menu, fades into view. Very nice. Animated buttons. Creating the animation in a movie clip symbol. Let's see. In the library, double click the movie clip symbol for Gable Lafell. Which one? Over. So Gable Lafell over. Guessing that's the one. Previews. No, yeah, that's it. Okay, we double click the icon if it's giving you a hard time with that. And let's see, what are we going to do? You enter the symbol editing mode. select all the visual elements on the stage. You can drag a rectangle around it, or you can hit select Command A to select everything. And if we say create motion tween, it'll give us a warning, and we say sure. Then at this point we got to click on the object itself and go to alpha 0, and then we go to the last frame, click on it again, and bring it up to 100. So what that should do is make it blow into place. Of course it's looping, so we're going to have to put stop action at the end. It's going very slow, and I notice they're shortening. They want to train you a little bit on moving keyframes, I guess. Yep, actions, so they're creating an actions layer up here where they can write stop. So at the end we make a keyframe, open the actions panel, and I think I still have stop in the clipboard. So let's try it. Mouse over it, it does that. This one is not doing it yet because we haven't applied that stuff to it. Create identical motion tweens for the other gray information movie clips. So that's pretty easy. Just go, what is it? Gary Gary. Select everything, right click motion tween, it'll give you the warning, so yeah, and then you want it to be 0, alpha, and at the end we want it to be 100. We want to shorten the duration of it to about 10, make a new layer and keyframe, paste stop again, and we'll go back out here, let's save it while we're at it, and go to the library again, go to the Adobe, select everything, tell it to make a motion tween, accept the warning, click on it, go to 0, alpha, fast train, click on it, bring it up to 100, shorten the duration, F6, open the actions panel, I'm going to paste stop, and we got one more, so I'll just go straight to it, double click. Was that the one? Yeah, I guess that was the one. Save, test it out. You'll notice, oh no, that last one, pure letters. I thought I was in that last one. I guess I was, but I didn't apply the effect. So right click, motion tween, yeah. Click on it, properties, 0. Go to the end, click on it, back up to 100. Move that over, new frame, F6. Write stop or paste it if you've done like me. Okay, try it out. Working. Click on one of them, fade into view. Yep, alright. And something the book probably doesn't talk about, but I'm going to bring the frame rate up to 60. And you'll just notice how much smoother everything is. A lot of my projects I do in 60 frames per second just because it's so much smoother. As long as the processor can handle it. Alright, so save, and I do believe that is it. Well done. See you in the next video.